Tonight, Israeli troops are fighting inside Gaza City with over 200 hostages who remain captive there, and civilian casualties mount inside Gaza. As President of the United States, what would you be urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do at this moment?
In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would
now at a point in time where people are talking about Biden is too old. Hell, I'm older than Biden.
You look good, Congresswoman.
And I get up every morning.
All right.
And I exercise.
All right.
And I work late hours.
All right.
I take care of black people.
All right.
Trump has told you who he is. He defined himself. He is a no-good, deplorable, lying, despicable human being. And he's talking about if he doesn't win, there's going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be violence. There's going to be a civil war. Who the hell do you think he's coming after? Who's going to be targeted? Who is he talking about? But you know he means business because he is the one that led the invasion on the Capitol January 6th. Now, do we have to talk about the difference between these two? Now, I want to tell you, no matter what anybody says, it ain't going to be no other Democratic candidate. It's going to be Biden, and we better know it.
Hey, it's the Political Brown Kid here, and I'm just going to drop this thought today. But definitely leave your comments in the comment section because some of y'all may not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. And this is just, once again, my opinion, but I honestly feel and believe that black people do not understand how elections work. Well, and let me kind of take that back and I'm going to kind of add a little bit more clarity to that. I think black people allow their emotions to override their thoughts in how they vote or how they should vote. They don't vote strategically. Black people, I'm talking about, when I say black people, I'm not including myself in this. I would say the majority of black people. I think there's a few of us that we play the long game, we play the strategic game, and I honestly believe that I'm one of them. But I believe the masses, probably 80% of black people, play no strategic game in voting at all. Black people particularly are either going to be overly emotional when they vote, or black people look for symbolic victories. That's all they look for in the voting process. Voting is really about quid pro quo. What can you do for me and what can I do for you? When you look at politicians, that's what exactly happens. When you see a lot of, let's just say for like example, unions. When unions endorse candidates, they endorse candidates because that candidate is going to do something for that union body. That union is saying, we'll provide funding to your campaign, or we will give you an endorsement. It's 20,000 people strong in our iron workers union, our teachers union, whatever kind of union it is. They say, look, we have big numbers here. We have a lot of clout. We have a lot of reach. We will endorse you, and we'll endorse you in the Washington Post, the New York Times, whatever paper it is. But what are you committed to doing for us? And before they do that, before they even give a vote, it is a negotiation between that candidate. And they're not going to just give you an endorsement just because they want to see the first crippled president, or because they want to see the first mentally disabled candidate, or because they want to see the first gay disabled candidate. They don't vote like that. But Black people vote. We vote with our emotions and our hearts. We vote for symbolic purposes, but we don't vote for strategic purposes. Black people will say, yeah, I want to see a Black president. I want to see the first Black president. They did that with Obama, even though I will say Obama was the better candidate in that race. But Black people vote symbolically. Now you see a bunch of Black women wanting to push, they're just voting Democrat because they're hoping to see Kamala Harris become the first Black woman president. But let me ask you this, when you've had a Black president, and once again, this is all symbolic. Y'all just want to see the first Black man. Now y'all want to see the first Black woman, because now this is the feminist moment. We're in, like, they say we're in the age of Aquarius, or we're in the age of Jupiter or whatever. Now we're in the age of feminism, and they just want to see a Black woman running the world. Or they're going to vote for a woman because they want to see a woman running the world. Those are voting with, that's just symbolic voting. And then you saw this video clip, and I'm probably going to try and include it in this video, or I may have included it in the beginning. If it's already there, I'll try and figure out if I'm going to put it in. You have Maxine Waters coming out. She's talking, but she's talking about absolutely nothing. When you see all of these politicians talk to us, they say dumb stuff. Like you see Joe Biden say, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't Black. Who says that? And then that just triggers Black people to vote. Is that the message that you have to get Black people to vote? If you don't vote Democrat, you ain't Black. I don't make this up. Joe Biden actually said this. Maxine Waters just out here talking scare tactics. Oh yeah, Trump's going to put you in slavery. Like I literally had someone tell me, a Black guy tell me that he's mad because I won't vote this year for Joe Biden. And he's like, well, you don't mind being enslaved and then being in chains. You don't mind being enslaved because slavery is going to come back. Number one, let me say this. Slavery is not going to come back, and it wouldn't come back overnight like that if it did. This is what people fail to understand. The president only controls the executive branch. There's a judicial branch, and then there's a legislative branch. There are three different branches. In order for a president to do anything, things have to pass it has to go through Congress in order to get passed. Now, if you have a president in office, it has to go through that Senate and the House in order to get passed. So if you think slavery is coming back, then that would mean you would have to vote all of the senators and all of the other people in the House and in the Congress to have that type of mindset that they would be willing to override the Constitution and reenact slavery. So I'm just kind of like this, what you're saying doesn't even make sense. So that's what I mean by people voting through fear and through emotion. They just look at things the wrong way. You have, excuse me. So once again, you have politicians, when they're catering to Black people, they're either going to play some music, they're going to wheel out Beyonce or Jay-Z or some rapper or some actor because they're playing on your emotion and your love for dancing and fooling around and partying. They're going to play just like Kamala Harris. She just invited a bunch of HBCU students. I just did a video on it a couple of months ago. She invited a bunch of HBCU students to the White House, and they had a party with a DJ playing music and they dancing. And I don't even know, they probably was twerking. And that's the way they lured you guys in. But when you look at how they cater to white people, when there's an election, what do? They go on a national stage during a debate, and during that debate, every candidate, whether it's a Democratic candidate, whether it's the Democratic primary, whether it's the Republican primary, or whether it is actually during the presidential debates, once the candidates are selected, all of those, during the debates, they ask the candidates the same question. What is your allegiance to Israel? They make sure that the Jews in this country are satisfied that the candidate is going to be pro-Israel and is going to support and back Israel. That is a fact. They ask these candidates about immigration policies, and so they cater to a lot of the Latinos that come into this country. They're either going to cater to the Latinos or not cater to or they're going to cater to the whites. They're either going to tell the whites, no, we're going to keep this a white country and we're going to enforce immigration and get these people out of here. That's catering to the whites, keeping the country predominantly white. Or they you see the Democrats saying, we're going to give amnesty to all the undocumented. They call them undocumented because apparently it's just so evil to call them illegal immigrants. They say, no, we're going to give them amnesty and we're going to find a path forward to make them full citizens and we're going to treat them with love and compassion. But you don't see not one black agenda on the ballot. And so some people will sit up here and say to me this, because this is another thing, because I'm going to ask y'all, what has a black president done for you? If you look through historically, we've gotten more, even though we've only had one black president, but we've gotten more from white presidents, and I will say white presidents that came way before Barack Obama than we got with Barack Obama. So I know some black people are going to say, well, what about Affordable Care Act? We got Affordable Care Act. Yeah, you got Affordable Care Act, and so did white people, so did Mexicans, so did undocumented Mexicans, so did Asians, so did Indian Americans that now live here. Everyone got Affordable Care Act. It's not a black thing. Don't look at that as a black thing. That is just a thing. And I'm not trying to say the Affordable Care Act was a bad thing. Affordable Care Act is a decent thing. It's a nice thing to do for a country that should have something like that. But that benefits everyone. What have you gotten pushed forward as a black person under Barack Obama? You're talking about a black president whose first lady admitted that she wanted to wear her hair in braids, but she didn't because she didn't want to tick off white people and cause a stir. You are the first lady. You shouldn't care about what the peasants think. When you are a king or a queen, you don't concern yourself with the minds of peasants. You do what you do. I keep telling y'all that. When you look at white presidents like Donald Trump, who had an all-white internship and had an all-white presidential cabinet staff, when they took that White House picture, they don't concern themselves or have to justify to you whom they hired and whom they fired. They do what they do, and they do it without being judged or care about what people think. So you can't care about what people think. So that was one misstep by Michelle Obama, in my personal opinion. Then also, too, you look at under President Obama, who did he put on the Supreme Court? He put Sotomayor on the Supreme Court. That was his one Supreme Court that he added, and he added a white Hispanic on the Supreme Court. I don't make this up. He could have put a black woman on there, but you know what? This is where black people start getting into that. Well, I can't, when you used to go on the job back in the early 2000s, and people would say, well, not too many of us can huddle together because it looked like we trying to overthrow things in the office. Black people literally do that. They literally say it can be no more than two of us talking at a time to one another because I don't want to be seen with y'all. We literally do that. And that's what Obama was doing. He was like, I can't put a woman on there because now I'm trying to seem like I'm trying to be too black. He refused to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus. And then he even also said, when they asked him, what are you going to do for black people? He said, I'm not the president of black people. I'm the president of all people. I can't do nothing for y'all. When I raise everybody else's boats, y'all boats will rise too. I don't make this up. Go look it up. Go look this up. I know what I'm talking about. So again, he didn't put a black woman or a black person on the Supreme Court. Hey, you can say a white man did that. He put Clarence Thomas, Clarence Thomas, he's black only and skin only, but somebody put him on the Supreme Court. I don't think that was Reagan. Was that Reagan? Somebody put them on the Supreme Court. Whoever put them on the Supreme Court, I'm glad they gone. I'm glad when Clarence Thomas gone. I'm trying to look and figure out what God is doing. Where the Grand Prix back? But you got somebody put a black man on the Supreme Court. You got a white man that just put a black woman on the Supreme Court in Ketanji, even though she married to a white man. Look at all your Supreme Court justices. They're not even married to white counterparts. Clarence Thomas got a white woman. Ketanji got a white man. Where's your black people at, people? Tell me. Your math isn't mathing. It's not mathing. But getting back to Barack Obama, he put a Mexican on the Supreme Court, a white Mexican on the Supreme Court. He refused to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus. So that's another thing that he's did. And you didn't get any other thing. He didn't even advocate for, like you had Jesse Jackson having to go to Apple, Microsoft, Google. I don't know if he went to Amazon, but Jesse Jackson, not even the president of the United States, he's just a civil rights icon. He went to the tech companies to say, where's your black hiring? Why are you guys less than 1% black at your companies? When does the president use the bully pulpit to say, where's the black people represented at in these big tech jobs that are making all of this money? President Obama didn't do that for y'all. The only thing President Obama actually really did was he started the My Brother's Keeper program. And I told y'all about that program. I just did a video on that program. That program goes to target foolishness. Once again, it is a program that is a victim's program. We're going to help, make sure these people get education and they can read by the 3rd grade and that they go to college and that they're prepared to get a college loan and get in debt and get a job and get fired from a job by the white man or hit the glass ceiling and stay nothing but a customer service rep. They can't rise to manager. I'm telling you, that's all they give y'all is these sympathy programs. They don't look, but when you look underneath Bill Clinton had a black cabinet. I forgot the black guy that passed away in the airplane crash. He was actually the Secretary of Commerce. I think his last name was Brown. I want to say his last name. Was it Ron Brown? I can't recall during this time, but Clinton was considered the first black president. That's what black people consider him. Because like I say, black people love these symbolic wins. But my point is this. Okay, so let's just say you get a president. Let's just say Joe Biden runs. And Joe Biden's in office right now. So you got a black vice president, a female black vice president in Kamala Harris. You have a black press secretary, a black female press secretary. What's her name? Karine Pierre, Jean Pierre. I don't know what her, KJP, whatever they call her. You have her. He put a bunch of black people in placements in his cabinet. What has that done for you personally? As you are sitting in your house watching this video, sitting in your middle class house, struggling to pay your bills, sitting in your house, I don't even know if you're struggling to pay, or just living a regular life. What has any of these positions or symbolic hires done for you? So what do you think if Kamala Harris gets to become president? What is that going to do for you? All it's going to do is give you a symbolic win. Yeah, we had a black woman president. Yeah, black woman married to a white man. A black woman who's half black, by the way. She's still black, but she couldn't even answer the question of what she was. When they asked her, "Are you black?" she couldn't even answer the question. I don't make this up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch when she was running for president and they asked her, "Are you black?" or "What are you?" She couldn't, and that's the problem with these mixed race people. They don't know what the hell they are. The new ones, the old ones knew. When you used to ask Halle Berry, what are you? She used to say, "I'm black." You ask Sally Richardson, "I'm black." You ask all of the black people that came up back in the day, they know what they are. But these new blacks, they get in front of a camera and they don't want to piss off the other Indian side, or they don't want to piss off the black side. They don't want to piss off the other side, so they can't even answer a simple question. And the question genetically, black people have the strongest genetics on planet Earth. She can't even answer a simple, basic question of what her ethnicity is. So what do you think that as you sit down around, driving around in your car, going on your daily life, what do you think of President Kamala Harris or any other black woman or black man for that matter, or even the first crippled the first crippled president, the first, I don't know, gay president? What do you think is going to be your win? If they're not passing bills that specifically help you in your situation, then you're nothing. It's only a symbolic win for you. Stop playing the short game. Black people need to start coming together and start saying, okay, we're going to vote for you. We want to vote for you and we're going to vote for you. But what are you going to do for me? These are the black issues that I have on the table. Whether it's a win for Africa, whether it's reparations, whether it's creating more, setting aside monies for black tech businesses or black businesses, using the bully pulpit to advocate to get people to support black businesses. What are you getting? And that's why I tell y'all, sometimes you have to throw an election. Sometimes you have to lose in order to win. Sometimes you have to say, well, you know what? This isn't our year. This isn't the year that we do something. This is the year we just stay stagnant to let people know that our power, we have the power to move mountains. What do you think strikes are for? When people go on strike, so let me give y'all another prime example. When we just had last year, 2023, the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, it's also known as SAG, S-A-G, the Screen Actors Guild, and I also believe the Actors Union, I forget what they're called. I forget what the actors, because I'm not an actor, but you had an actors strike and you had a writers strike. The writers struck first, right? And they struck for about 2-3 months. They said, we are not writing another television script. We're not working until you meet our demands. We do not want y'all using artificial intelligence to write screenplays. We do not want y'all doing this. There's a whole bunch of streaming going on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, on Tubi, and all of these different platforms, but we're not getting residual payments from this. We want the money from this. And the actors had the same demand. So then once the writer's strike was over, and the writer's strike lasted, I think, about 3 months, 2, 3, 4 months, then they finally got what they wanted. And then the actors said, well, we're going on strike too. We don't want artificial intelligence recreating our images. And they went and they had their demands. And then they got what they wanted and they went back to work. That's the only way you can win, is to do what actors and screenwriters did, was to say, let's refuse, let's hold up the process. We may be losing money over the next 3 or 4 months, but we're going to force them to see that they need us to come back to work. And Hollywood did. Hollywood said, okay, we can't go on. We can last 1 month, we can last 2 months, but ultimately, now we need these writers and we need these actors to get back to work. And that's how they won. So I'm telling y'all, the same thing has to happen for an election. Y'all have to say, look, we're not voting in this election. Joe Biden, you're too old. We don't like your policies. What have you done for me lately? You have to hit him with that Janet Jackson song. You have to use this and say, this election, you're pretty much not going to get it. But Kamala, if you want to be the nominee in 2028, we'll be more than welcome and glad to support you in 2028, because in 2024, we're on strike. And we're going to strike for the next 4 years, and we're going to ride it out underneath Donald Trump. But 2028, if you're back, if you want to run again, we will gladly support you and then that's when you pull out the big booklet, the binder, or whatever it is that you're going to pull out, and you show her what your list of demands are. And you say, if you can meet those, then we'll vote for you. But we don't have people that do that. All they do is put a pastor in front of black people. They go to the black church and tell the black church, tell your people to vote for us. And these black pastors, they just tell you who to vote for, and you got a whole bunch of these old civil rights Negroes. They in their 70s and 80s right now. They just gonna vote just because they hate the white man so much, because and I understand why. They actually lived through segregation, but sometimes you have to play the long game. We need to play the long game. Us that are young enough that can live to see the long game, we need to play that long game so that we can actually get substantive things. And that's all that I want to say. So this is the Political Brown Kid. Definitely drop a like or hit the like button, hit the notification bell as well, but also definitely drop comments in the comment section. This is the Political Brown Kid. I'm out of here.